How we all doing, lads? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Let the old chat build up. Get a few people in. Get a few in the building. We wait and see. We have a chat. We have an old chat. We just get a few people to drop by. You can see the chat's already starting to fill up a little bit there. As people already dropping their thoughts in the comments. Well, the live chat. As people are already dropping it down. So we look good. Look all good there. Yeah, looks all good. So we let the chat build up a little bit. We get a few people in the building. We're mainly going to talk Eubank versus Smith in this one. Now, we can talk about other things as well. We can definitely, broaden the talks as long as it's boxing related. We'll talk about all that. But it's going to be interesting to see what many people think is going to happen this coming week with regards Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. It's weird, right? Like, I was looking forward to the first fight. But this fight, like, I know I picked Liam Smith to win. I know I picked him, but I just have a feeling Eubank might pull this off. I don't know why. I look at Eubank and I just think, could he do it? Could he do it? There's a part of me that is kind of kicking myself for not picking him. But at the same time, I got it. It's a tricky one, but I'm sticking with safety. I'm going with the safety first option. I'll put it like that. I'll read a few of the chats. Even the Edmund, we love alive. We absolutely do. Even the Ben, how are you, my friend? I hope you're keeping well. Good evening to JD. Good evening to Philip. Yuri, how are you? Oh, Lord. He does, yeah. Will you do a weight cut like Ade? You know something, right? I watched Ade's series on that, doing the weight cut. And it looked hard. I'd love to do. I'm not being funny. I would like to try it, but I won't be doing anything like that until I have the time to do it. If you know what I mean. Like, if I wasn't working full time, if I had kind of like the setup that Ade has, where he kind of like, I know obviously Ade is busy. Like, it's not like he's not doing stuff full time. He is, but he's able to have a cameraman and camera crew do it. I think for me, it would just be me on my own. It wouldn't be as easy. I'd like to try it maybe in the future, but not right now. I think that if I was to do it, I would probably I'd probably look at trying to get down to maybe 154. So be a big leap down in weight, 154. But I'd probably try. I reckon I could do that. I reckon 154 would be somewhat doable. Might be the easiest, but we give it a go. But that could be made. That could be a year, maybe more away. It could be a year or more away. Yeah, I said it once, I'll say it again, right? They seem to be the only fans because obviously when you do these, right, when you do YouTube videos and you talk about boxing, right, and you be objective, you call it like you see it, you give criticism where it's due. Some do more things to warrant criticism than others. You're always gonna upset the fanboys, right? I've upset the AJ fans, the Canelo fans. I know loads of fans I've upset. But the only ones who literally consistently come up in the comment section, and you could do a video like we're doing here on a two fighters completely worlds apart in a different weight division, they're still bringing up Fury. It's bizarre, really. I've never seen anything like it. It really is strange. But hey, big up, G-Man. Only recently started following you. Good analysis. Oh, thank you, my man. Yeah, we've been doing well on here lately, mate. We really have. We've really seen a lot of growth in the last couple of weeks. It's been like it's been nice to see. I mean, this month we've hit nearly. We're not quite going to do it, right? But we've hit nearly 600 subs in a month. We're 25 off doing it. I know we're not going to get 25 subs between now and midnight. Possibly anyway, but I doubt it. But this month we've been really good in terms of the revenue end of YouTube. This is on course, depending on how tonight goes. This is on course to be. It's not quite there yet, but it might be after this live. The best month I've ever had financially on YouTube. It might be. It's not quite there yet. Depending on how this live goes, it might be the best month I've ever had on YouTube financially. So the channel is going places. It's growing. You know, when I find out about people who watch the videos, it's crazy, really. Like, I'm just kind of blown away by some people who've watched it. It's like, wow, you know, I was not expecting, excuse me, not expecting people from all these parts of the world to watch it. It's been really good lately. Long may it last, man. Long may it continue. You know, obviously, I'm trying to plan a move, obviously, over to the UK, to London. More than likely, it's going to be next year, but you never know the way things go. That could change. It could be earlier. You never know. Um, it's all down to a lot of external factors, which I'm not going to bore you with on here. Big up to Nick every time. I hope you're keeping well, my man. The 286 project, man. I know you're getting closer and closer to 100 subs. I know you want to get it by Christmas time. Shout out to the 286 project every time. Looking forward to this rematch this weekend. As am I, man. As am I. I'm looking forward to it, definitely. I think that the closer we've got to this fight, the more intriguing it is. There is that part of me that really does look at this and think, I can see Eubank Jr. really pulling this off. Not stopping Liam Smith, but winning, and legitimately now, legit winning on points. I can see it. Like, so I'm looking at it with a lot of intrigue. I'm looking at this fight with a lot of intrigue, an awful lot. I'm not accepting Usyk is over the hill. After the borderline shot that dropped Usyk, he went two tippy toes, toe to toe. I think you mean toe to toe with Dubois and battered him. He showed attacking intent, and I didn't know he had. Yeah, like, I mean, I even said in the prediction video, mate, that it wouldn't shock me if this fight maybe doesn't make Usyk look as good as he did against Joshua, and people would be saying, oh, he's over the hill. And that's exactly what they did. I just knew, because I know boxing fans, how reactionary they can be. You know, that they will literally see a performance and be really good or really bad, and they'll make a reaction at the spur of the moment. You know, I remember when Dillian White knocked out Derek Chisora in a fight that on one of the cards he was losing. And yeah, it was a big knockout, but he didn't paint himself in glory. And there was so many, like, the consensus was he beats Wilder after that fight. And you're like, what? Like, what? No. I think boxing fans are just so reactionary to certain things. You know, I expected Usyk to not look amazing against Dubois because it's a different style than Anthony Joshua. He was winning the early rounds quite clearly, and then he closed the show. So I kind of got the fight. I even think I got the round almost right, because I said between rounds 9 to 12, and he stopped him in the ninth. So I got the fight I pretty much expected. You know, the borderline shot, it is a bit of a grey area there, but there's no doubt Usyk was hurt by it, and it did slow him down, certainly. But in terms of him being past it, no. No, 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 no. No, he does so much. And you know, it's funny, when you watch him in there, you see just so much good stuff. You see how good this guy is, and how if he was in there with a big slow, well, he wasn't there with a big slow clunky heavyweight, but other big slow clunky heavyweight, just how good he'll be. JD is going with Liam Smith, round 7 or 8, TKO. So slightly later than the last fight, but you're still going with Liam Smith, the same result. I can't see Eubank Jr. losing, to be fair. He will be more determined now. And that's true, man. Like, I mean, I look at this and I think, you know what? I'm picking Liam Smith, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, man, Eubank Jr. is game. Like, I'm not ruling him out at all in this fight. I'm thinking I'm just like, oh, I've gone with my pick now. And as you know, I don't like going back on picks. If I say I'm picking this guy to win, I normally stick with it. Much love from Newcastle, a place that I would love to visit someday, mate. Newcastle is a place I would really love to visit. I've heard so much good things about that town and city. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've heard so much good. One day, man, when I get over there, if there's ever a show in Newcastle, I will make it my business to go to that show, regardless of the promoter, who it is. I will make it my business. I think Smith will finish Eubank again, because that's what happened last time. I'm sure that makes sense to you. Oh, yeah, man. Like, I mean, when you talk about a fight like that, I mean, that's why I'm picking Liam Smith, because the way it went, you just think, how can Eubank really consistently or conceivably recover? You know, I mean, it has happened, but with much different fighters than Eubank, you know, much better fighters. So, look, I'm going with Liam Smith, but you never know, man. Boxing is strange. I've been trying to cut 200 since December. Yeah, man, I think there's still a few who are Still trying to cut from that December. Thumbs up, man. Yeah, if you could, like the video, man. Nice one, mate. I appreciate it. You, Dell, and Outmatch all predicted Eubank Jr. decision win over. I actually picked Liam Smith. I haven't picked Eubank. I said I think, I don't know why, my gut is telling me Eubank, but I didn't go with it. I went with Liam Smith decision. So Dell and Outmatch, I know they're going, but they could. Well, I haven't actually finished watching Dell's yet, but they could be picking Eubank Jr. But I ain't picking Eubank Jr. this weekend. I must watch Dell's then if that's the case. Respect to you and continue to session your channel, man. Likewise to you, man. I really do hope, man, you hit your 100 subs before Christmas. You will. I mean, you're 35 off now, thereabouts. I think. I was watching your latest video the other day. I was actually in the live chat for a little bit. It was very good listen. So fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. We keep the success going. At the end of the day, man, you won't get anywhere without putting the work in. You know, I've said this once and I'll say it again. And I'll say it to anyone who's thinking of starting a YouTube channel. You just got to be consistent with it. You know, if it means, seriously, because I've done this lots of times. I'm still doing it now. If your friends are going out on a night out and you think, or there's a card on or something, you think, I could do some videos on it, I could report on it, but I'd rather go out. And then you do videos the next day and they get no views or very little views, and you think, well, this isn't for me. It's like most small channels won't get good views straight off the bat. So you really need to kind of hit while the iron's hot. There's news breaking. You see, like, give you an example, right? You know, my channel was quite big, I wish, 12,500. But I still want to be first for breaking news because it means that I'm getting there, you know, so people can say, right, well, you broke it first. Because breaking first, and because my channel already does decent views, it snowballs. Now, if you're a small channel, say you've got 200 subs, and you break that news down and there, you're not going to do 17,000 views like I've done on some videos. It's probably not going to happen, but you might get 2,000. And those 2,000, you might only have 100 of those viewers who are subscribers. The rest could be all new potential subscribers. I'm not saying you'll get 2,000 subscribers off the back of it, but you might get 20, 30. And that's 20, 30 more than you had when you started. So people say, like, you know, gee, that my YouTube channel is literally, it might, and you might think it's sad, but like, it's such a big part of my life. It's an integral part of my life. My whole world revolves around it almost, because this is, for me, it's more than just a channel. It makes income for me. It's opening doors into different avenues of journalism, you know, all stemming from this. So if you put the work in, you see it grow and you see doors open. That's because you're putting the work in, right? If you just decide, I'm going to try and do like what G does or what Hatman does, and you do not even a fraction of the work, and you're like, well, this isn't work. And it's like, it's not because you're bad. It's just because you're not putting the work in. You have to, like, you could say, like, you know, gee, you're making some okay money a month. Your videos get thousands of views per video. That's great, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it took me 4 years to get to this, like, consistently doing it. It wasn't just the case if I started a channel and then boom, it's all there. It's like, it's consistent work. Like, you have to make it grow. Like, I think that's the only thing I could really say, man. Actually, funny enough, we did talk about that. So that is possible. That could happen sooner or later, because I have spoken to Julia already, and he did mention that. So I'd love to. I'd definitely like to. Be good fun, actually. Imagine me and him, because imagine me and him. Imagine me and him if Tyson Fury duck Dusek again. It just coincided. That would be it. Man, the Fury fanboys would be in overdrive. Really hope you hope a good Saturday, good run. I hope so, mate. I really do. Is Michael Conlon looking for a new trainer? That's good if he is. No disrespect to Adam Booth, but it just didn't work. Who do I think it'll be? Well, that depends, you know. I mean, originally when Conlon turned over, it was Manny Robles. But he was based himself in the States, and he hasn't fought in the States. I don't think Conlon's fought in the States since 2020 or before 20. I think 2019 was the last time he fought in the States. So I would imagine he's going to be looking in the UK. He might go Pete Taylor, might go Joe McNally, someone like that. I don't know. I would be set. Look, if I was saying, I'd be saying go to Grant Smith. I would seriously, if I was, I'd be saying, because Michael Conlon is athletic to an extent. He has good boxing ability, But the way Adam Boo had him fighting was just like antithetical to what Michael Conlan is. It's just it's not Conlan. Whereas I think Grant Smith, his boxing brain is so good, he'll be able to piece Conlan back together. I really think that would be a good move. I really do. Yes, we'll be doing a watch along on Saturday. We will, of course. Hey, I think Eubank cuts properly. He defends himself properly without showboating or any BS. Then he could win. Remember, he got stopped when he was in control and landed 3 uppercuts in a row. As a neutral, I hope it's a good fight, and I think Eubank overlooked Smith, not taking anything from him. And they're excellent points. And you're not taking anything from him. No, of course not. I think they're excellent points. And I think Eubank, maybe he did probably overlook Smith to an extent. I think one of the things that maybe Eubank Jr. thought of was, I've seen that style before, Liam Smith style. I've seen it on fighters and I've ate them for breakfast. So it's going to be the same with you. Only issue was Liam Smith is better than those guys. And it wasn't the same. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be really interesting. For me, right, I see this as a good matchup personally. If promoters had an ounce, had any nonce about them, they would be pushing this like they would do if it were Ben Eubank. I think that was the reason why it wasn't pushed as hard. They just didn't know Sky. He's not exactly, no. I'd like this fight. I think this fight is more like a modern 90s Eubank Ben. Although Eubank got his chin cracked by Liam Smith back in January, I think Eubank will be able to take shots better in the rematch. I don't think people really take into consideration how much that it had to have affected Eubank. It absolutely had to. Now, I'm not saying that was it, but that was the main reason, but it had to be. I'm waiting for the weigh-in before I give my pick. It's going to be interesting to see how they both look at the weigh-in. I'm going with Liam Smith on points. No, I don't think. I think he's a boxer, but not a fighter. I mean, he should have just got that body shot, as I thought it was legit, though. No doubt Usyk milked it. Usyk was hurt, and, the referee ruled it a low blow. You have the 5 minutes. It's very seldom you see fighters take the full 5 minutes, but occasionally it does happen. I think one of the reasons why a lot of fighters don't take it is if they're in control or if they're worried about giving. Because you got to remember, like, say you're in control, or maybe you're not even that you're in control. Say you're struggling. It's a bit of a 50-50 fight, but your opponent is tiring. You can feel it in him in the clinches. All right, his strength is going. I might come back here, and he hits you low, and then you take the full 5 minutes. That's a 5-minute rest for your opponent too. It's not like he has to do jumping jacks while you're waiting for 5 minutes. He's getting the rest too. Joe Stunner's channel, your recommendation, actually excellent. Joe Stunner is fantastic. He really, truly is. And I hope he's in the building. I hope he's in the chat, because there's a sub for you, Joe, mate. No, Joe Stunner Boxing, absolutely excellent. Great guy. His channel is tremendous. And I've had many good chats with Joe Stunner, both on here and off here. And I can't sing his praises any more highly. He is absolutely tremendous. This weekend, I doubt they'll do a trilogy. Yeah, I don't think there'll be much demand for a trilogy, truth be told. I guess it depends on the nature of the win. If it's a really controversial decision, maybe. But if it's a fairly convincing Eubank win, no. I would imagine it wouldn't. Do you give Dave Allen a chance at all? Well, I mean, he has a chance. They're heavyweights, I guess, but very little. Very little. Liam Smith will destroy Eubank. His punch resistance is gone. Utter destruction coming in. Okay. Yeah, I've seen his videos on the low blow. I still think it was borderline and that Usyk should be a bit lucky not to. But as I said several times even before that, it's proper right on the cusp. I mean, you could really have it either way. The first time I thought it was 50-50. This time I'm feeling Eubank will win on points. I see a lot of people going for Eubank Jr. G-Man putting all his bags on Crawford and Spence. I did see that Spence has activated that rematch clause. I think that's a terrible idea, personally. Hrgovic is a robot. Usyk will run circles around him. He's way too obvious and telegraphs punches. Yeah, Usyk should beat Hrgovic reasonably straightforward. I picked Junior last time as well, so I can't say anything. Has no chance he is British level. Smith's a world level fighter. Okay. As good as Smith is, I think the weight cut for the Ben fight, then jumping into the Smith fight can't have helped. No, I don't think it did as well. You know, something like that, you have to. It's not to say Liam Smith is to take away from him, but it definitely didn't help Chris Eubank Jr. I don't know what. I don't think I think it's just. I don't know. You're not going to see much difference with Bomac. I'll put it like that. It's way too soon. Ethan D says, "You're my favorite boxing channel now. Only really listen to you these days." There you go, man. I appreciate that, mate. I really do. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate that. I really do. Hopefully you keep enjoying it. Just check it in to smash the like button. Boom. Hit a left jab on that like button. Good says Eubank on points. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way. That's what my good saying as well. But I didn't go with it. Well, at 160, it's a bit, I don't know. But if he goes down to 154, maybe. Goes back down there. Hey, G-Man, love the channel, the Craggy Island spin on boxing news. Do you think Sporting Icons is a T-boy at Matchroom? Seems shamefully biased to me. I don't watch that much. I do watch Sporting Icons from time to time. Look, to each his own. I mean, I think with some, maybe they just see a promoter in a different light and they'll maybe look at them, maybe give him a pass on certain things. But I do enjoy some of Sporting Icons videos. I've been subbed to him for a while. To be honest with you, mate, like, yeah, it's more probably the views than the subs. I appreciate the subs though as well. I would say roughly 20k. You could maybe look at doing this full time. I mean, as it is now, I could go part time. But the reason why I don't want to is because obviously I want to have money in the bank for when I move. So for that reason, I'm not going to go part time. But like, I could. If you know, I could. Right now I could, right? But the problem is, like with YouTube, it kind of it varies every month. You're never going to make the same amount each month. Some months are going to be better than others. You know, this year, for example, I think it was the month of February. I think it was February. Was a pretty weak month for the channel and for boxing. There wasn't much that happened. Same with the month of May. I think there wasn't much happened, so therefore the revenue wasn't what it is. I mean, it's double this month what it was in May. So it can vary drastically based upon month to month. So you'd really want to have about 20k so you're guaranteed to live off YouTube. I would say you'd need to live off YouTube. You'd need to get a combined over the course of a day. Probably need a combined 20,000 views a day, thereabouts, to live off it. So if you think about it, if you've done 5 videos a day and they all got 5,000 views, you probably live off that, but you'd have to do it pretty much every day. Yeah, I love Paulie as an analyst and a commentator as well. Paulie speaks his mind. He says what he sees. He's got a very good eye for boxing. You know, I'll never forget when he was commentating for Sky and it was the Crawler Linares first fight where it was blatantly obvious Linares was winning, but Sky were making it out as it was competitive, and Malignaggi was like, guys, it's not competitive. And as soon as he said it, they immediately changed. They were like, yeah. Where are we at? Grant Smith will be a very good fit for Michael Conlon. Shane McGuigan as well. Has he definitely left Adam Booth? Has he definitely? Where are we at? Oh, we've got the Fury fanboys in the building. Yes. As I said, man, every single time. Nah, I haven't really watched any of his videos lately, to be honest with you, mate. 87 in the building, 113 in the building now. We do well on these. We always get over 100. It's nice. You know, I'm not gonna lie. It's nice to see. It's nice to see. So over 100 in the building. If you could, lads, smash the like button. 44 likes. Let's try and get up to the golden 100 if we can. Shout out to Joe Stunner Boxing. I see him in the building. If Hrgovic beat Usyk, it will be an AJ fight guaranteed. Definitely. Do you know what? I'm going Eubank on points. Shout out to you, my man. Just tuned in and heard my name mentioned. Thanks as always for the heads up. Hope you're well. I appreciate you dropping in, my man. You got a new sub, man. Someone in the chat, big up to Ben, was saying he subbed to you, found your content very good. And I was saying, of course he did, because Joe's Done Unboxing does produce very good content. I hope you're keeping well, my man. I hope you're keeping well. All is good with you. Your ears were burnt. His ears were burning, man. Do you think Matchroom or Krasuk gets Usyk versus Hrgovic? If it goes to a purse bid, I mean, it really depends. Like, maybe Krasuk and K2 would actually win the purse bid, because why would it's even like this, right? Hrgovic isn't Eddie Hearn. He is with Eddie Hearn, but he's not. He's co-promoted, and Eddie Hearn is not going to put that fight on in the UK, because it just, well, like Usyk will probably sell okay, but like Hrgovic, he'd need a good dance partner to sell. They do that fight in East Europe somewhere, maybe Poland again. It just makes more sense from a financial point of view to do it there. It would make absolutely no sense to do it in the UK, I don't believe. Moving on, moving forward, Usyk cannot really rely on the referee to give him time when he's hit with a low blow. Well, if he is hit low and it's legit low, then yeah, he can take his long. He has up to 5 minutes. So if he ever, so say he's fighting, say Tyson Fury, and he hits him low, the referee rules it low, he can take 5 minutes if he wants. I mean, that's the rule. You know, they have up to 5 minutes. Dave Allen by stoppage. Okay. I hear actually he's quite good odds on stoppage. Now, I personally wouldn't be putting money on it, but I hear from the odds, for him to win by stoppage is a pretty interesting pick, or is a pretty financially viable if it comes true. I don't agree with the cult of fighters consistently changing trainers after a defeat. No, I don't like it either. But sometimes you see, what I don't like is when you see a fight, even when they're winning, you just don't like the way the trainer has them looking. And that was what I felt with Conlon long before the loss. I was always like, Adam Boo just doesn't fit right with me. It's the same with Joshua and Rob McCracken. So when they lose, it just exacerbates the problem. But you could have a fighter who was in a very, like, I'm trying to just think off the top of my head, it's like Josh Tate, well, he didn't really lose. He won it, but he should have lost it, leaving Ben Davison straight after the Jack Cattrall fight. And you have other situations like that I'm just trying to think of. But when a fighter loses and they leave the trainer, it does look, you could have just ran into a better fighter. It doesn't mean the trainer's garbage. And, he could be the best fit for you. So, I don't like that when fighters do that, but sometimes you see it a mile away, and it takes a loss for the trainer, for the fighter to really see it. Conlon was never right with Shane McGuigan. That was never a good fit. So for me, him leaving, or not Shane McGuigan, I saying Shane McGuigan, Adam Boot was never the right fit. So for me, it was like, thank God he's finally left. No disrespect to Adam Boot, but just for Conlon, it just didn't seem right for me. He will need home advantage, I think, as well. It'd be tricky, but he surely can do it. How do you think Conor Benn would do against Echo Usman? Be interesting. He's very tricky, is Usman. Very, very tricky. That'd be an interesting fight. Conor Benn in there against the mover and something like that. That would be interesting. G-Man, I've always defended SJ. He was critical about the gimmick fight. Simon Jordan, you mean. But that Love on Tuesday with the team quitter was a total disgrace. Zero pushback on the scandal cheating claims by Daniel Dubois. When it comes to Frank Warren, Simon Jordan, mate, like, he's different. Wait, February, wasn't that when the Yard Baturbia fight was on? Yeah, it was. That was back when they fought. I'm sorry if I'm missing the chat, by the way, if I'm missing the questions. There's just so many of them coming through here. What do you think about the undercard pay-per-view? It's better than, like, it's not a pay-per-view quality undercard, but it's better than a lot of the fight nights we've had. Put it like that on Sky. It's better than that. He looks very good, mate. I'm very impressed with what I've been seeing with him so far. The Bradley Skeet performance aside, he should have been disqualified in that fight. But other than that, he's looking very good. Very, very, very good. I'm very impressed with him. Do bookmakers make odds for fights being pulled in advance for advanced findings now? I mean, you probably make some money off them, man. At this point, Eubank was surely feeling the pressure, the previous weight cut. He definitely would have had to have been 100%. Usyk stops Hrgovic. I don't know if he stops him. Hrgovic is showing a pretty good chin, to be fair, but he'll probably win fairly comfortably. Needed that. Oh man, like it's just it's more and more and more often now. Most unathletic boxer today. Most unathletic. I mean, just look at the heavyweight division. You see guys there with no athleticism. Maybe even Dave Allen might go into that. Mate, he didn't do that, did he? Praising better. You can't, mate. You can't do that. Can't praise Tony, man. That was bad. That was so biased. Even the commentators were like, what the hell? After his last two performances, I think he may quit. I guess doesn't seem to have the heart for battle. It's been very interesting seeing Hrgovic because early in his career, he looked so impressive. And he's just not been, I don't know what's going on. Against Zhang, it looks better considering Zhang's gone to do things. I know his dad passed away and a loss in a family is not easy. Certainly someone as close to as that, but his last fight, he just looked just completely disinterested. And shout out to the boxing circus. Enjoy your content, man. What is Yard doing fighting Ricky Summers? Is it me or is that like 3 steps back after 1 forward for Beterbiev? Yeah, it's a big drop down. No disrespect to Ricky Summers, but he's fringe British level, so it's a real big drop down. I really don't know what Team Yard are going to do because Boatsi is fighting Zidane Aziz. I mean, maybe you could fight the loser, but why would you be targeting the loser? You want to target the winner, but the winner's going to go on to World Honors. So, I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do. I appreciate the 5 quid super chat, mate, though. Thank you very, very much for that. I really do appreciate that. We're not too far. We're not too far off making this month the best month financially on YouTube I've had. We're not too far off. That fiver will go a little bit of the way, but we're not too far. We're probably only about a tenner off it now. So potentially we could break a record this month, and that will go away. That will go a long way, and the revenue from last night hasn't updated, so we might be closer to it by the end of the night. Some people have been saying that, all right. I don't know. Nick Webb is definitely not as good as Fraser Clark. Not that Clark is anything special. Anyone else pissed off that Clark was a pundit for the AJ Usyk 2 fight? Like, what the hell has he ever done? Hope Dave Allen does a job on him. I can't see it, man. Dave Allen is the new Chisora. Pound shop Chisora, no disrespect, but at least Chisora had some good wins. Is he looking to fill his boots? He's going to need to make a decent amount of money with decent names if that's the case. I seen an interview with Dave Allen with Joshua Hart. Some people may know I've shared his channel a few times. JHT Boxing. He's done a very good interview with Dave Allen. I watched it there. And Dave Allen is saying what he's always been saying. And I've heard it enough times. And, shout out to Josh Hart, but Dave Allen, I'm not a good interview, but it was Dave Allen is just saying the same things he's always said. And he said it for years now. What's to say this is any different? Do you have many thoughts on Azim? I haven't watched any footage of his opponent yet. Neither have I. Adam Azim is all right, but I think they pulled the brakes on him a little bit. That talk, BS. Sham was an embarrassment. I mean, it's bizarre, really. They will just lambast Eddie Hearn every chance they get. Oh, good Lord, Simon Jordan and his capriciousness is just unreal when it comes to the difference between a Hearn interview to a Warren interview. I mean, Jesus Christ. Anyone else think that Frank Warren has Simon Jordan in his pocket? Don't always agree with Hearn, but SJ has been a bit over with his criticism. Yeah, Eddie Hearn has said things and done things that warrant criticism, and Simon Jordan has criticised him for it, rightly so. But so is Warren, and with Warren, it's just like, I'll let you off. I mean, the capriciousness of it all is just unbelievable. Fury said in an article, if he beats me, it's like, oh my God, he beat the mammoth who no one couldn't be beat. I'm not going to give someone the opportunity to gain that. Hell, I'm crazy for giving Hrgovic a chance to beat Usyk. Oh, you mean hell no? I thought it was carrying on there. Look, the Fury Usyk thing. I mean, I just don't want to go there again, man. No, I don't want to go there. I can't go there again. It's frustrating. Vidal Riley is an interesting thought. Is an interesting one. That's my thought. It's on my birthday. Nathan Quarles. Let's have a look. See if him on BoxRec. Let's have an old box rec of him. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Nathan. How do we spell that? Q-U Quarles. Who are we dealing with? Been a pro for 5 years. No knockouts. 12-0. No knockouts. 27 years old. Not ideal. And there's guys here I recognize who have been stopped several times. There's Norbert Shazaski. He's been stopped a bunch of times. Steve beat Stevie Collins Jr. on points. He's garbage. And he's a middleweight. Shouldn't be up at 100 or 200 pounds. I would imagine that Vidal Riley will have way too much to thank for this guy. Way too much. Way too much. So I'll have a look at him and just see. You know, he could certainly prove me wrong. But I doubt very much just based upon that. Repeat or revenge? I haven't really given it much thought, mate. We'll have to wait and see. Most unathletic boxer has to be Andy Ruiz or Jarrell Miller now that he's off the pads. Well, is he, mate? Is he? I mean, he's fighting over in the Middle East. I can't imagine they're too thorough out there. I mean, Miller, holy Jesus Christ, man. He does have good fast counters, yeah. That's to be fair. I don't know why he couldn't. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. No, I don't really. I know there's some good fighters down there, but strawweight, 105 pounds, it's not something that I've really followed. After that guy who got the 50-0 loss, that Thai fighter, I kind of stopped paying attention. Is stuck in a rut, you mean? But all credit to Dempsey. Trains out of Sim's gym and works incredibly hard. Yeah, he gave it a go. I don't know. I genuinely couldn't tell you, mate. I really couldn't. You see, Adam Booth, right? Adam Booth is very good from a psychology point of view. He understands fighter psychology very well. He's a degree in that. He understands it. He's good at teaching a specific style. I'll give you an example, right? If I was saying to Anthony Yard, who would I have as his trainer? I've said it for years. I would actually give him Adam Booth. I think that would work very well. But he needs a fighter with certain attributes. If he doesn't have that, you know, it's no good. You know, he needs a fighter with good punching power, speed, athleticism, reflex. He doesn't have all that. There's nothing you can do. You know, you're only going to get so far with Adam Booth. You know, Josh Kelly kind of style. Like, Josh Kelly is very athletic, but he doesn't have the power, the strength, anything to be able to pull that style off. Now, to a certain level, you know, that's going to be fine. Like, he got the British level, no problem. He may push on to European level. I know he came up stuck at welterweight at European. But in terms of him going on the world scene, I can't see it. Dan Raphael, the picture of health that he is, saying that Don Charles should concentrate on Dubois quitting during the last fight. Well, he should really try and get into Dubois' head and say, what's going on? Dan Raphael, he ain't. Dan Raphael is what he is. No need to be bitter because Fraser Clark got a big punditry gig for AJ Usyk too. He's been doing the punditry for Sky pretty much since he turned over. Like, really. And, you know, maybe that's a career if the boxing, you know, does go belly up. I mean, some fighters make good pundits, some don't, right? And it's still a skill in of itself. Some are good at being pundits, some aren't. You know, some are made to do it. Carl Frampton is very good. Some aren't. What do you make of the beef with Boxer and Matchroom and Eddie Hearn? Is Eddie correct about the purse pullouts? Yeah, I mean, I think Ben Shalom, was it Frank Smith who said that Ben Shalom doesn't know what he's doing? And I'm inclined to agree with him because Ben Shalom has done nothing but bad, in my opinion, since he's been there. This guy, he just doesn't seem to really have any comprehension of what he's doing. He's trying to go behind promoters. He's trying to keep his fighters away from, fighting on another network. It's just like, and then he's trying to be secretive about it. He's doing it all wrong. Yeah, there or Poland. How long until Yalalov is running the division? Would be great to hear your thoughts on him. Very talented, devastating left hand. He's in the top 10. I wouldn't say it's going to be long. A year, 18 months, he'll be up there. Chisora has his faults and weaknesses, but I can't fault the fact he'll face anyone. No, he will. Are they actually open? I don't think they are. I think they're independent, but they're not really that independent when it comes to Warren and people like that. Yeah, that fight was a joke. Like that fight, like how that kid got, and I mean the opponent was only 17. How he even got a license for that is beyond me. The kid couldn't fight. Really bizarre. Seeing that, yeah, I just pay him no attention. That's really what I do. No, he's young enough. He can keep going. Yard's resume is just wins against cab drivers and losses to world champions. It's a shame. If they built them up rightly, they should have done that. But I don't know, for whatever reason, they didn't. He didn't criticize it, but he did say it was interesting. So make it out what you will. Yeah, he goes straight for Eddie Hearn's jugular, like Eddie just killed his dog. When he speaks to Warren, it's like a mother's meeting. Yeah, he's so biased. And, Eddie Hearn is good at winding Simon Jordan up, because I don't know where, and, some people say, I'm not going to say he hates Eddie Hearn, but he certainly doesn't like him. I'm not sure where that level of dislike comes from, but it's not reciprocated by Hearn. Hearn doesn't seem to give a damn what Simon Jordan thinks about him. And he loves it. He winds Simon Jordan up something terrible. And Simon Jordan just gets too emotional. He's just too trying to prove Hearn's wrong. And rah, rah, rah. He ends up coming off worse. Yeah, probably not. No. Is Noel Corliss' son. Defo. What Fury was talking about was Usyk in that article. Interesting. Realistically, how often do you think fighters can take a beating in the first fight, come back to win the rematch? Sometimes, but more often than not. Like, again, it depends on the fighter. Some fighters are just built different. They can have an off night and fix it, but it's very seldom. It's very few and far between. More often when you see it would be if the fighter who dished the beating out in the first fight, they have a rematch maybe a couple of years later, and fighter A has regressed massively, and the fighter who lost the first fight is still reasonably okay. I don't know. There's certainly still trucking fighters out of there, but I don't think it's as prolific as it used to be. Oh, man. They're both, man. God help whatever car has to bring both of them at the same time. You want a lowrider? No. You have a lowrider? No, I've got Bo Mack and Dan Raphael in the back. That's how we roll, homie. Yeah, I like it. I like the fact that I'm surprised more fighters don't do it, to be honest with you. I really am. I'm surprised. Did you see Don Charles threatening to punch anyone in the mouth? Yeah. Don Charles is a very emotional type of character. It's just, yeah. He's like that. Where are we at, man? After losing loads here in the chat. Where are we at? Okay. Ben Shalom comes across as someone from a wealthy background without knowing what to do, like a golden spoon. You see, Eddie Hearn, and he says it himself, he's the golden spoon boy. He had everything he wanted. Barry was rich. He took over Matchroom. But Eddie knew what he was doing. Ben Shalom just doesn't seem to have a breeze. His dad is meant to be completely rich, but no background in boxing that I would know of. And Ben Shalom just seems completely clueless. He really does. Oh my good Lord. How old is Sergio Martinez at this point? He's got to be well well into his 40s, if not his early 50s. He's fighting for the greatly prestigious IBO title. Oh, wow. Imagine that, lads. The amazingly prestigious, the wonderfully prestigious IBO title, which got its claim to fame from 2017 to 2018. Well, really, it was only 2017, to be honest with you. It had its year of somewhat fame in the UK when Eubank Jr. was defending it, and then it went back to obscurity, where it belongs, and where I hope it remains. Because the last thing we need is more sanctioning bodies that are recognised, because then it's more mandatories, more, it's hard enough with 4. God only knows what would happen if there was 5. Everyone seems to forget that Eubank was dealing with the death of his brother and his father's mental illness at the time of the Smith fight. Yeah, Eubank Sr. wasn't the best. Obviously, Sebastian passed away summer of 21. R.I.P. to Sebastian. It's got to be horrible. It really is. I don't have any brothers or sisters, but I can only imagine. I don't even want to think what that must have been like. So Eubank had a lot to deal with. Bear that in mind as well as the cut. Maybe that, the L, is just going to inspire him. I mean, like, who knows? We'll know on Saturday. But yeah, it's got to be horrible dealing with the loss of a brother and seeing your dad not be the best. To be fair to you, man, Tony was critical of the Fury fight. Checked the podcast with Warren, and then he called out the BS of the fight to Warren. But more often than not, Simon Jordan is like, whatever. Imagine if Eddie Hearn did that. He would be screaming from the rafters. Forget their background. He has zero charisma or charm. I think Sky messed up with getting Boxer. But hey, what options are there out there? Can you think of any? At the time, I thought they would get MTK, would get on Sky. I thought that because they were still going. Probellum was just starting. And I thought they'd land the Sky deal. They didn't. And we all know what happened to them and Probellum. I mean, literally, they only done, I think, 3 shows before it got pulled. Well, it didn't get pulled. Well, it did get pulled. They lost their TV deal with Eurosport. Obviously, we know why. And all the fighters went elsewhere. Eubank, if he wins, could potentially fight for the IBF as the current champion is under Wasserman. They can probably pay Yalabek step-aside money. A guaranteed Yanibek unification. Yeah, they could actually probably do that. 48, damn. Do you know what? I think over the years he rubbed people up the wrong way. And I think lately, certainly over the last year, we've seen more of the true Eubank Jr. And he definitely comes across as a more likable chap. I think that he tried so hard to be the villain. And he still is trying to do that, but I don't think he is. I think behind the scenes he is a lot more of a jovial, likable character. I think he needs to show that more, because he definitely comes across as a good guy. Like, he doesn't come across as a you know what at all. Growing up, the butler only shot him 5 times a week. Yeah, it must have been a crap life. But hey, he knows what he's doing when it comes to promoting. I've heard several things about Adam Smith. The latest of which I've heard. Now again, unconfirmed. I'm not going to say what it is for definite, but unconfirmed. If it's true, he's having some quite severe health issues. If it's true. Again, don't quote me on it. I've heard it. Not confirmed. But from what I've heard, he has some quite severe health issues. And I mean quite severe. No one wants that. It's time to see a lot of these so-called British prospects who keep popping up on undercards stepping up a bit now. Yeah, definitely. Chisora has 13 losses. He's a bum that's been given promotion and given more chances than he deserves. Vandy Ruiz has 13 losses. We wouldn't know his name. I guess the fact that Chisora is always game in those 13 losses, he's always come to win. He's able to self-promote himself a lot better than Andy Ruiz is. He's got a cult following in London. So I think there's a variety of reasons why he's able to keep going with all them losses. So I've heard. I think that's a bad idea, personally, but it's Errol Spence is the one who makes those decisions. I can't see him winning or even being competitive, but Crawford will probably be saying, all right, I'll take your money. I'll take another whopper payday. And yeah, I'll do it. With Taxi Driver mode. Yeah, Sky and Ben Shalom have really been bad when it comes to getting opponents. They really have. They really, really, really have. They've really been bad. Probellum had really good cars, but promoted events were terrible. Went to watch a few events in Newcastle and none was there. Yeah, the events were actually quite good, but they had no real reach. You know, people talk about the zone. I don't recall Probellum even having a TV deal for the first few shows. So they had no real reach other than, like, people say the zone had no reach. Probellum literally had nothing. So no word really got out about them. But once they got the TV deal with Eurosport, it seemed like good things were happening. I think they only done one show on Eurosport, and then boom, we all know what happened. Everything came out, and we all know what happened there. One of the reasons why Fury ain't able to go into Ting. Hey, so what? Who you got? AJ versus Wilder. Wilder going to be a demolition KO on AJ. He's not technically a good boxer, but he's got height, heart, long reach, and unorthodox angles, power in both hands. Flat out ignoring my point. You do realize, right, that this chat has over 130 people in it, right? I can only read so many at a time, and I scroll forward now and again, right? So I don't read everyone's question, right? So there you go. Like, you try doing a chat that has over 130 people in it, and they're commenting an awful lot. It's very difficult to get to every single question. Despite the fact they both grew up with money, Eubank seems a far better person as Conor Benn. Yeah, he definitely does. I suppose it's just the way they were taught, you know. At the end of the day, it's a lot of it is doing your upbringing. So maybe Eubank Senior just brought Eubank Junior up a different way than Ben did and Nigel did Conor. Anyone else miss Ian Darke commenting on boxing back in the day? He was excellent, even though he does football commentary on TNT. Yeah, I do miss Ian Darke as well. He was very good in the boxing back in the day. I liked him. He does the football, but yeah, boxing. You know, when you look at the early the 90s, the mid 2000s, Sky had a great commentary team back then. He did. He had great commentary teams. Really good teams back then. I miss Jim Watt. Speaking of health, my friend's dad had a heart attack at the end of last year. He's all good now. Oh, that's good to hear, man. That's good to hear. It's a serious thing. Hopefully he's on the mend and he's back to his old self. That's what we want to hear. We don't want to be hearing any of it. We don't want to be hearing any bad news. Did no favours for Ryan Burnett. Yeah, Ryan Burnett. It's a sad story with Ryan Burnett. The fact that, you know, he had to call it a day. You know, it's crap. It is. Because it was a back injury, wasn't it? He had the fight against, what was it? What was the guy? Oh, yeah, he had the fight against Denair. And then he had that fight against I forget who it was, but it was on, I think, an MTK show. And then he had that back injury, and that was it, you know. And Ryan Burnett, I think, was only in, he was only in his, like, I think he was a little bit older, probably 27, 28. He wasn't old. So it was sad to see. It definitely was. It definitely was. Chisora versus Walcott. I'd probably go with Chisora. I know all that, but it still doesn't make sense, right? Does it? Or whatever. Canelo versus Jackson. Canelo, definitely. You know, Julian Jackson had a massive punch, but that's really it. He was never the, how would I describe it? You look at him against, I know he won the fight, but you look at him against people who could box, like against Terry Norris when he fought McCallum. As good as Jackson was, he was vulnerable. He was just, Jackson could punch like a god almighty. He could punch, but that was really it. He didn't have a great chin. He could be overwhelmed. So I'd always have given Canelo that fight, definitely. Does anyone know if Al Heyman has ever given an interview? I don't think he ever has. I think he's only ever been He's only ever been, I think, seen at a couple of events, mainly Floyd Mayweather. But in terms of an interview, he's never been given an interview. And that's something that you could say is quite smart, because that way he's never going to be misquoted. He can never have someone say, like, oh, Al Heyman said this, but he did this, because silence is golden. You can't misquote silence. So I suspect that that's Al Heyman is smart. You know, he's in the music business for many, many years. He managed Beyonce. He has beef with Jay-Z. You know, Al Heyman is smart, and he knows better to be going around giving interviews and having people misquote him and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't think he ever will. Truth be told, he's really Al Heyman is an interesting character. It really is. You know, he seems to have a lot of sway in the boxing world, despite the fact very little is really known about him. He doesn't really seem to have. He's never at any of the events. He's interesting. I got it. I don't know. It's really interesting. The whole Al Heyman situation, and will he give an interview? Won't he? Is he at the events? Is he backstage? It's interesting. It's really interesting, the Al Heyman situation. So what time are we at? What time are we at here? Because I've got some stuff on, and I want to finish up a video. 72 likes, 127 in the building, right? I'm going to call it here. But if you could, lads, if you could, right, smash the like button on the way out. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. And we will be doing live watch along this Saturday. Probably start at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, right? Try and not go too long like we have the last few weeks. For now, I'll leave it there. Might get a video out tomorrow, might not. Just all depends on time wise. But for now, lads and lassies, I will leave it there. I hope you all have a great evening. I hope you enjoy yourself. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. If I don't talk to you tomorrow, we'll catch up on Saturday. Peace.